I want to share some stuff that's on my brain. I was talking to a client earlier, and we got into the subject of electricity and piezoelectricity. And so I showed her a few things about how piezoelectricity impacts the pineal gland, which is basically your third eye, which basically connects you to source, as they say. So I'm going to show you a little bit about that in relationship to the genes and all that kind of stuff, and etymologies, and just some really, really cool stuff that I get super excited about. Let me share my screen with you here. Piezoelectricity. Okay, what is piezoelectricity? If you've never heard it before, it's an electrical charge that accumulates in certain solid materials, such as crystals, ceramics, and biological matter, such as bone and DNA. So you are an electronic machine, pretty much a hydroelectric machine, to put it in better terms, is really what you are. And so is there evidence of that in the gene cards? So if I come over here and type in piezo, we can look at piezo 1 here, is a mechanosensitive ion channel. Ion is electricity. And then they have an alias down here for the gene, MIB, which doesn't really fit too well. So I started investigating a little bit more about why they have the alias named MIB, and it doesn't stand for Man in Black either. So if we come over here to Wiktionary, it tells us that it's a corruption of the word marble. So marble can mean interlaced with fat, right? So then I could come over here and say, okay, what does piezoelectricity have to do with fat? And then we find a study over here that talks about how dietary fatty acids fine-tune piezo 1 mechanical response. This is a fascinating study here about how basically electricity has the ability to be generated from fat. So that's one explanation about marble and MIB. But there's another, and it goes deeper, and it talks about how marble is basically crystalline limestone. So if I clicked on limestone over here, it's going to tell me that it is in fact made from calcium carbonate. There it is, calcium carbonate. So calcium carbonate is limestone, is associated with piezo signaling and piezoelectricity. Okay, so stay with me. Piezoelectricity. What does the limestone have to do with the pyramids? You know, they say that the pyramids were this energy source for the whole area. If you were to look on it from miles away, there'd be this bright, gleaming light that shines. Well, that's one word they use up here, is gleaming, right up here, in relationship to the etymology of marble, a gleaming light, in relationship to limestone and calcium carbonate. So the last pharaoh stripped the pyramid, but this is what it would have looked like. Okay, and so this piezoelectric field, when you apply pressure to something, and then that in turn generates an electronic current, well, you have the ether field all around you, this field of this 0 point energy field, if you will, that our bodies tap into all the time, right? Through mechanotransduction and piezoelectricity. Every single hair follicle on your body picks up these signals. In fact, you have mechanotransduction ion channels all throughout the skin, so you could feel the energy around you, right? You have this bubble, right? When someone gets in your bubble and they're an angry person and bitter, you feel that energy coming off that person. I don't want to be around you. Like, get out of my bubble. Don't mess me up. Don't mess up my mojo. But what's really crazy is this piezo protein, that's the actual gene, what it's doing in the body. It's literally a propeller. This is what it looks like. Piezoelectricity, piezo protein, right? Piezo gene, piezo protein. There it is. It is literally a propeller, and it propels the energy from that 0 point energy field, that ether, into us. And this is how the universe transmits signals back and forth. This is how it works. That's why they were able to tap into that energy in the ether back in the day. through the pyramids to generate this massive electrical field all around them. And so what's interesting is this protein called clathrin almost looks identical to the propeller right here. So there's piezo and there's clathrin. They're both three-legged prongs that spin. And so what is clathrin right here? What is this protein? Well, it forms a triskelion shape, and I'll get back to that in a second. I'm just fascinated by this stuff. It allows cells to communicate. That's energy, piezoelectricity. So the piezo 1 gene and this clathrin protein are obviously communicating because they're both shaped like propellers, and they kind of fit like lock and key in order to transduce the communication, that signal. But also allows the body to transfer nutrients so that things in the foods that you're eating, to import signaling receptors to mediate an immune response after sampling the extracellular world. That's you going out to the environment every day, being exposed to everything, chemtrails and whatever, right? Just whatever you're exposed to every day. It's a crazy world, okay? But it says here, this pathway can be hijacked by viruses and pathogens in order to gain entry into the cell during infection. And so these pathogens are energy siphons. They are siphoning the energy through clathrin, picking the energy off of the energy that's being transduced through piezo 1. And there's studies out there that talk about piezo 1 in the immune system as well. And so this piezo 1 forms a triskelion shape. There it is, the triskelion shape. And it goes on and talks about see other Archimedean spiral. Excuse me, there it is right there. So clathrin forms the triskelion, ancient triskelion symbol. Okay, ancient symbol found all throughout history. Triskelion symbols. What is a triskelion symbol? Let me see if I can find an image of the ancient ones. They're embedded on these rocks thousands of years ago. Okay, that's what a triskelion symbol looks like. But they were embedded on these rocks thousands of years ago. Obviously, these people knew something. But here's where it gets really cool. The Archimedean spiral, which is the triskelion, which is clathrin, which is associated with piezo. And I've talked about this before, if you follow me at all, is the golden spiral of life. Okay, the golden spiral of the universe. Golden spiral of the universe. There's pictures. Here we go. Everything forms from the spin. So sitting smack dab in the middle of the vortex right here would be the triskelion clathrin / piezoelectricity taking place to generate the spin. Okay, so here's where it gets really interesting. New crystal in the pineal gland found. Characterization and potential role in electromagnetic transduction. Okay, and I actually put a paper together about this a little bit earlier, a few months ago. But it has piezoelectric properties. So I'm pulling this right out of that study. And so they found 2 crystals in the brain. One of them was calcium carbonate, which is limestone, which is marble, which is piezo. That's calcium carbonate, what they lined the pyramids with back in the day. It transduces energy. And the other one was calcium oxalate. So if you know anything about oxalates, calcium oxalates are little calcium crystals that form like shards of glass inside the body. And they are responsible for creating damage in the inner lining of the blood vessel, right? Vascular diseases and things like that. They also contribute to hardening of the arteries and things like that. But what's fascinating is that the pineal gland can get calcified through calcium oxalate crystals. And so this study talks about how they're able to pump frequency into it to be able to manipulate signal through EMF waves and things like that. So that can go 2 ways. right? They're talking about mobile telecommunications and things like that, manipulating brain sand and things like that through piezoelectricity. So all the things out there that we watch TV, we listen to the radio, they're all broadcasting a signal that our body, our pineal gland, is picking up that signal. Okay. But there's also a good side, as with anything. You can use technology for good or you can use it for bad. Period. So don't go say, oh, this is bad, this is bad. This can be good. Obviously, the people who are using this technology right now have likely nefarious things in mind for us. But what they found was that this pineal microcrystal appears to stack a thin, what they call rhombohedrons, which is a certain shape in geometry. Okay, it's a three-dimensional figure with 6 faces, which are rhombi. And you can look this up on Wiktionary. A rhombi is a French word for rhombe, the Latin from rhombus, literally meaning a magician's circle. So listen to this. You have a magician's circle, the geometry of a magician's circle forming in your pineal gland. People, believe it. It's happening. Okay? This is just science here. This isn't some mythologies or some esoteric knowledge here. These are just hard facts. This is the word translates into a magician's circle. And it's generally believed that a magician's circle will contain energy and form a sacred space of protection against evil. Okay? So they did use this stuff back in the day, the magicians and stuff like that. I'm not into any of that kind of stuff. But what I found was really interesting is the reason they did it was to counter disease-carrying demons. Well, isn't that fascinating, people? Isn't this just all fascinating? It truly is. And so you have the ability to alter the signal through piezoelectricity and the calcium carbonate crystals that are already in your pineal gland. And the number one way that I would do that I know of, that has to do with any kind of frequency, right? If you want to know the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. The future of medicine will be the medicine of frequency, is through this terahertz generating quantum terahertz device right here. And so you probably seen me post on this earlier, but what I do is I put it on low setting. If you don't have one of these devices, you seriously need to get one. They're $350, well worth the money. Spend it for Christmas, get your friends and family gift, that'll last. The health benefits will last so long. Anyways, but use the quantum terahertz device and point it at the pineal gland in order to help decalcify, because I did read a study on how the terahertz frequency will break up calcium oxalate crystals in the kidney associated with kidney stones. So if it has the ability to do it, to break apart kidney stones, which are calcium oxalate crystals, then it also has the ability to break up calcium oxalate crystals in the pineal gland. And then you can harness the energy from the calcium carbonate, the good ones, crystals that are already there. And who knows what happens at this point? Do you form a magician's circle around you? I imagine this kind of like, energy field being broadened, like get out of my bubble, can't mess with my bubble, right? I got my piezo pineal gland on point. And that's what we do here. So this is all brought to you by DNA Diligence, seeking answers and looking for solutions using the latest cutting edge technology here through terahertz frequency. But you can track all these genes. You can reference all this stuff, but most people don't have the time to connect the dots on it. And this is what I do all day long. I look at genes and pathways and figure out what compounds are needed in nature to, control the epigenetic expression of the genes responsible for the manifestation of the symptoms of the disease. That's literally what I do. DNAdiligence.com, quantumterahertzdevice.com. Guys, check these sites out. This is pretty cool. I mean, when I stumbled across this, it was pretty amazing. I was kind of doing handstands, but you can see how they can manipulate your thought through this piezo pineal gland connection. It's right here in the study. Okay, go look it up. New crystal in the pineal gland. Okay, fascinating stuff. So I hope you guys have a good day, and I didn't bore you. Have a good one.